forgive me? I feel it again. The pull to the light. Supreme Leader senses it.
Heart in you.
Show me again the power of the darkness. And I will let nothing stand in our way. Show me. Grandfather. And I will finish what you started.
How you doing? I'm Corey Hunter and welcome to our film school. So, when I first saw Star Wars The Force Awakens, I was pretty comfortable with the story, with the exception of Kylo Ren. Coming off the Star Wars trilogy and its prequels, I was looking forward to seeing what would be done with this new Sith Lord. In the beginning, he stopped a blaster, but then it was downhill from there, at least for me when it came to his character arc. I was fine with his temper and outbursts, but he just seemed underwhelming, especially when we take into consideration he's a Skywalker. What makes it worse is that he's also a Solo, and this is where my biggest disappointment came from. The character himself didn't pay any tribute to Solo, which is surprising considering he's the man's son. It was as if the entire Skywalker legacy overshadowed Solo, but after watching Star Wars a few times, I found out I was wrong. So let's backtrack to what we already know. George Lucas became infatuated with Akira Kurosawa and samurais in general, which played a large influence on Star Wars. By recreating samurais and putting them in space with lightsabers, we got Jedis. And ever since, Jedis has been heavily influenced by their foundation, samurais. The influence can be seen by their trademark weapon, to their clothing and code of honor. In the original trilogy, we see Obi-Wan Kenobi dressed in samurai garments and Darth Vader in full samurai armor. This is seen again in the prequels where all the Jedis are wearing samurai garments, but it's here where we first see the idea expanded. Take for example Darth Maul, who isn't a space samurai but instead a space ninja. This is seen from everything from his weapons to his garments. The garments of ninjas were similar to that of samurais but were worn looser, like the clothing worn by Darth Maul. This influence complements Darth Maul when we see he's used as more of a mercenary like ninjas than as a symbol of fear like Darth Vader. The influences of Star Wars were also expanded in the character of Count Dooku, whose fighting style reflects that of fencing, especially when it comes to footwork and precision. This French-inspired fighting style isn't surprising when we look back at the original trilogy and see the influence fencing had in those lightsaber battles. Now all this brings us back to Kylo Ren. Upon watching the film for the first time, it's assumed Kylo is a Sith Lord, until the film reveals that he's actually of the Knights of Ren, a completely new order of knights trained in the Force. Before there were good space samurais and bad space samurais, but now with the introduction of Kylo we have something new, and this is what makes him interesting. We know Leia is his mother, and through her he's of the Skywalker's family. The Skywalker family is known for their powerful abilities in the Force and skills with the lightsaber. Both Anakin and Luke are amongst the best the Jedi ever produced. What distinguished Kylo from them is that he wasn't trained as a Sith Lord or didn't finish training as a Jedi, which in turn means he's no samurai, but he still carries with him the Skywalker legacy. Simply put, he may not be a samurai, but he possesses a warrior spirit. Now the word warrior is less defined than the term samurai. It's broader, universal. A warrior is a word used in all cultures and of all people. So now we know his connection to the Skywalker family, but what about Han Solo? There's a connection there too. Han Solo stands out in the original trilogy because despite the heavy influence of Eastern culture, he's a Westerner. If our other heroes are space samurai, then he's a space cowboy. Everything about him radiates this, from his clothing to his backstory to bounties to the Millennium Falcon. And it's this Western element he passed on to his son. Now I know what you're thinking. Kylo isn't a space cowboy. True, he's something different. He's a space knight. Let's start with his clothing. It's heavily influenced by medieval times, unlike any Jedi or Sith before him. The Knights of Ren are the first order of Force users to reflect Western society. The only thing that can make him more Western is if he was wearing chainmail as armor. Then we have his lightsaber. If the lightsabers Jedi and Sith wield were inspired by katanas, then this is influenced by a longsword, a weapon unique to Western society. Even his fighting style is a reflection of this, with wide and strong blows. Now, if we think of all these influences together, it works. Through his mother, he's a warrior, and through his father, he's a Westerner, which makes him a Western warrior.
The mighty Kylo Ren. When I found you, I saw what all masters live to see. Raw, untamed power. And beyond that, something truly special. The potential of your bloodline